Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we've arrived to week 3 of the NFL season. The New Orleans Saints currently sit at 2-0, coming off of two straight butt kickings as they play host to the 1-1 Philadelphia Eagles, who are coming off of a short week, just playing this past Monday night against our hated rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, where they lost that game in controversial fashion, I would say myself. But this is a game that I had kind of put a little notation next to when I saw the schedule release, because the Philadelphia Eagles are that team that just has been a bugaboo for the New Orleans Saints in the past few years. Now, granted, the Saints have defeated the Philadelphia Eagles once or twice, but it's been kind of given to us. I think the last time we played them, we destroyed them like 44-7 or something, but half of their team was hurt in that game, one being Jalen Hurts, who didn't play in that game. He was hurt, I think, for that game a couple of years back. But Jalen Hurts has been a thorn in the New Orleans Saints side. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Saints was his first official start. That was his first game as a starter when he played the Saints, and it's been on ever since then. I mean, I remember that game vividly. I'm like, man, this is a rookie, his first game. Man, we ought to tee off on Jalen Hurts. Boy, I forgot the score, but it was ugly. And the last few games has been ugly when he has been the starting quarterback. One of the things is not just Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, it's any team with a mobile quarterback has always given the Saints fits, at least their defense. And I'm hoping that we got that cleared up. But yes, this week, we are previewing this week 3 matchup between the Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. Also, this is another reason why I was kind of anticipating this game. It's in the Dome. We finally get Philly here because we always play them in Philadelphia. We always have to go on the road and play Philly. And I always felt that was unfair. Why we always got to travel to them? So finally, they're coming here, and with the way the Saints have been playing the last couple of weeks, the city is excited, the fan base is geared up, and have their expectations through the roof, I must say. But everybody is amped up, and so this will hopefully be a throwback to the Dome being this just hellish place for opposing teams to play. Loud and rocking, making your bones quiver to enter inside of the Caesar Superdome. So we shall see. But following a convincing 44-19 victory over the Dallas Cowboys just this past Sunday in Dallas, the New Orleans Saints are now 2-0. They seek to become the eighth Saints squad to win their first 3 games, and remains at least tied for first place in the NFC South as they host the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday. They're tied currently with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also 2-0, and that was always my threat. I always looked at them as our biggest threat in the South. Everybody was screaming Atlanta, which, don't get me wrong, it's only 2 weeks into the season, plenty of football to be played, but I never really looked at Atlanta as a threat. And if you look at their last 2 games or the first 2 games of the season, I still don't see them as a threat. To be honest with you, the Philadelphia Eagles lost Monday night against Atlanta, but it was more of them losing it than Atlanta winning. And if you watch that game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Philadelphia lost that game. It was not Atlanta going out there and beating the Eagles. It was far from that. But it is what it is. You get them how you can get them in the NFL. I'll take it. any way I could take it, but I'm really enjoying how we are getting it as a team these last 2 weeks. The Saints have accounted for 432 yards of total offense just this past Sunday. In this balanced attack, the defense had two interceptions that led to 10 of the 44 points that we scored. This output combined with a 47-point just demolishing of the Carolina Panthers in our season opener has put the Saints in a tie for the second highest point total throughout the first two games by this team at 91 points. They only come in second to wait for it, the 2009 New Orleans Saints, who scored 93 points in their first two games of the season. Now, do I need to remind you what the 2009 Saints are known for? Wait for it. They won the Super Bowl. Am I saying that the Saints are going to the Super Bowl because of this? No, I'm not. So do not clip this out and say that, oh, Kevin, you predicted the Super Bowl. No, I didn't. I'm just saying that the team looks just as good, and they do. Honestly, the team looks like they clicked. They got it. Everything is firing on all cylinders. The question is, can we continue it? Now, as far as the Philadelphia Eagles are concerned, they fell to the Atlanta Falcons late in the fourth quarter. This past Monday, Kirk Cousins, he was 5 or 6 for 70 yards and a touchdown with 65 seconds left in that game. And it really was, you look at that and you're like, man, Kirk Cousins came alive in the fourth quarter. No, what happened was, in case you didn't watch that game, which I stayed up and watched that game for some reason, because it was boring as I don't know what. Neither team really did anything of note. But the Eagles had a chance to kind of milk that game away. Atlanta had burned through their timeouts. Philly was in field goal position. All they had to do was run the clock out. On third down, they decided to run a bootleg, and Jalen Hurts threw a pretty ball. If this is one of those plays that, as Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, two things could have happened. Either it worked and you look like a genius, or it don't work and you look like a complete buffoon. Unfortunately for him, it was the latter. They ran a bootleg, nice pass, hit Saquon Barkley dead in the hands, and he dropped it, which stopped the clock. So they had to settle for a field goal. You left 65 seconds left on the clock, and Atlanta went right down the field and scored. You couldn't write this. I mean, you couldn't. you could not. I mean, it's basically what other teams do to Atlanta. They finally did it to somebody else. They didn't win it. Somebody gave it to them. God bless their hearts. But in any event, Jalen Hurts in that game, he was 23 for 30 for 183 yards and one touchdown and one interception. But the big thing was he had 85 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown against the Falcons. And that's where he's dangerous, and that's what concerns me going into this game. But he wasn't the only one trucking over the Atlanta Falcons defense. It was also Saquon Barkley. Combined with Jalen Hurts, they had a combined 180 yards rushing in week 2. In week 1, they had a combined 142 yards rushing. It's scary. It's not the air attack that frightens me with Jalen Hurts. It's not. It's this run attack. Because Jalen Hurts, I would let him sit back there and throw it all night long if need be, because there's some issues going on their offense, which we're going to touch in on in a few minutes when we go over their injury report. But man, what bothers me some with them is the fact that a lot of those plays aren't called plays. Those aren't design runs. This is him when a play breaks down or he sees an opening and he takes it. Because Jalen Hurts isn't a prototypical running quarterback. You know, he isn't a Michael Vick that looks to run all the time. It's not like that. It's more of, if it's there, I'm gonna take it. And 9 times out of 10, it's always there because there's threats all over the field when it comes to Philly. Very talented team. Let's not forget, just a couple of years ago, this same team was in the Super Bowl. And almost won it. So it's not like there's some scrubs here. But yeah, it's this run attack, and we know Saquon Barkley is a grown man. How the Giants just let him casually walk out the door is beyond me. I don't know what they were thinking. Honest to God, don't know what they were thinking. And to go to a division rival nonetheless, unbelievable. But it's he is showing them just in 2 weeks that they made the greatest mistake of their life, and we all got to suffer for it because he is tearing it up right now on the ground. Just to swing around the NFC South, also this weekend, Tampa Bay, who we're tied for first with in the division, they'll be taking on the Denver Broncos. Carolina will be playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Carolina with Andy Dalton at quarterback after they benched poor Bryce Young. I feel so bad for Bryce Young. It's so anyway. And the Atlanta Falcons will be taking on the Chiefs this Sunday on Sunday Night Football. They get 2 primetime games in a row. Hopefully the Chiefs can do their job. But the crazy part is that's our next 2 opponents. We Atlanta and Kansas City. So if there's a way they both can lose, I'll be happy. But that's swinging it around the NFC South. Let's jump into this injury report because we have some injuries to talk about as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. Matter of fact, let's start with the Philadelphia Eagles because theirs are very, very significant. Now, granted, all injuries are significant. All players, ours are significant as well. But for what the Eagles like to do, this is very hurtful. They have one that is definitely ruled out for Sunday's matchup, and that is their star receiver, A.J. Brown. He has a hamstring. He is ruled out. If you remember, he didn't play for the Monday night game as well. So that's Jalen Hurts' favorite target. That's one of the best receivers in the league, hands down. And that's something that we don't have to deal with, thank God. I wish him a well recovery. I don't wish bad on anybody, injury wise. This is these guys' livelihood. But yeah, I don't want him to play. I don't want to deal with him because he is dangerous. And somebody who is questionable for this week against the Saints is their safety that you may recognize his name. It is none other than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Yes, the former New Orleans Saint. He has a foot injury. He didn't practice none this week, and he has been ruled questionable for Sunday's game. And that's questionable within his own right, because when we played him last time, when he went over there, well, for the first time, when he went to Philly, because this is his second time in Philly. He went to Philly, then he went to Detroit, now he's back in Philly. But he was hurt the last time the Saints played him. And so, maybe he don't want to play his former team. I don't know. I thought this would be a game he'll get up for. I don't care if his foot falling off. Tape it up and go out there and play because he, just to stick it to the Saints. And don't be surprised if he plays anyway. But, yeah, I hate to see that because I wanted him to play. I did. I wanted him to play. Even though it's rare, that I cheer for a player after they leave. Now, I do like players after they leave the Saints, but I don't cheer for them. I actually cheer for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because I liked him. I like his swag. He doesn't care. He has that. You realize that after he left, even though we replaced him with some really good guys, with Tyrann Mathieu, with Jordan Howden, Will Harris, all these guys in the secondary. We haven't really missed a beat, but it's really his attitude, his vibe, what he brought to the team defensively. It made players want to fight him. He got in a little scuffle on Monday Night Football. Guy threw a punch at him. I never witnessed a player uh, touch the field where you know he's gonna talk trash. And this goes back to college. That was the scouting report on him in college, that he was kind of this quote unquote troublemaker, but he's really not. He just talks a lot of trash on the field to the point where players want to fight him. Let's not forget when he was a New Orleans Saint and when Michael Thomas was a New Orleans Saint, at practice they got in a fight. Michael Thomas swung on him at practice, got suspended for that. He just does. That's just who he is, and it works every single time. The dude is phenomenal at it. I gotta give the devil his due. He's phenomenal at it. But he is questionable for Sunday's matchup. The New Orleans Saints, we have a lot more questionables. We even have an out. Only one player has been ruled out for Sunday's matchup, and that is our defensive tackle, Kalen Saunders. He has a calf injury. He hadn't practiced all week. He didn't play last Sunday. I think he's dealing with that calf. He has been ruled out. We have 5 other players who are questionable for Sunday's matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. Linebacker DeMarco Jackson is questionable with a calf injury. Taysom Hill, chest injury. He is questionable. He's been limited at practice. They are optimistic that he will play. I hope so. I hope he's healthy enough. If he's not 100%, I wouldn't throw him out there. But if he's, 85 to 90, it's fine. That's fine. Fine. But if he's not tip top, I wouldn't throw him out there. We need him for the rest. It's too early in the season just to throw players out there who isn't 100%. But he is questionable before this Sunday's game. Tackle Landon Young, foot injury. He is questionable. Will Harris, safety, shin injury. He is questionable. And wide receiver A.T. Perry, he has an illness. He is questionable, even though he was limited all week, but he did have full practice on Friday, which is an excellent sign for Sunday. Just to run through some stats, our season leaders so far through 2 weeks of this year, we have passing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Their leading passer is, of course, Jalen Hurts. He is 43 for 64 pass attempts, 461 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. For the Saints, of course, is Derek Carr. He is 30 for 39, 443 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Well, I'm not just going to glance past this. That is phenomenal. That is actually phenomenal numbers from any quarterback. 30 for 39, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That is excellent touchdown to interception ratio. And that 1 interception was a deflection off a receiver's hand, so he shouldn't even have that. Derek Carr has turned it up, man. I always want to take an opportunity to give him his flowers because I had no problem poo-pooing on that man all of last year. And if you listen to the show back then, I had 0 issues with it. And so if I had that energy with him doing bad, I got to have that energy when he's doing good. And so he is phenomenal, and I'm giving him all his props. Hopefully he can keep it up. Rushing, leading rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles is Saquon Barkley. He has 46 carries for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leading rusher for the Saints is Alvin Kamara, 35 carries, 198 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns. He scored 4 touchdowns last Sunday, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. He was lights out. He was offensive player of the week last week, if I'm not mistaken, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. He single-handedly destroyed the Cowboys. Leading receiver for the Eagles is Devontae Smith, 14 catches, 160 yards, and a touchdown. Leading receiver for the Saints is Rashid Shaheed, 7 catches for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's just to put that in perspective. They're leading the Eagles' leading receiver has less yards. No, I'm sorry. He has one more yard than he has one more yard than our leading receiver, but it took him twice as many catches to get that 1 yard more than our leading receiver, who has twice as many touchdowns as well. Yeah, this is a special team. Clint Kubiak is out here doing God's work. And I don't say that lightly, because he truly is. You realize here in the city of New Orleans has not had a murder in 18 days. They have not had a murder in the city of New Orleans now, murder capital of the world, has since the Saints took the field. Yeah, this is all Clint Kubiak. I'm crediting him for single-handedly ending the murder rate here, or slowing up the murder rate. Now, God forbid, I hope that this doesn't jinx it, and the next thing you know, we have a whole killing spree happening over the weekend. But I'm it's just crazy. We haven't had a murder in New Orleans, and if you live in New Orleans, you know that is rare. But yeah, Clint Kubiak deserves all the credit for changing his offense, for making this and it's simple stuff. This isn't a complicated offense. You know, I'm pretty sure the verbiage is probably, a little convoluted and strange for the players. But as far as what the Saints run, how they running it, it's not really that complicated. Running motion, running play action, running the ball. It is pretty basic and simple, and their blocking schemes have been very on point. Another one I want to give love and credit to is that old line. I had the energy of poo-pooing on them. Now I got to give that same energy when they do good. The offensive line looks amazing. And it's crazy to say that, because a month ago, I was ready to trade all 5 of them. And not even trade them, just cut them, get somebody else in here. I was ready to move on from this old line. But they have held up. Now, this is a formidable defensive front they are facing this upcoming Sunday. I would say even more intimidating than the Dallas Cowboys defensive line, which did not show up at all Sunday, this past Sunday, I should say. But this will be another big test for the Saints. And I would say this is a bigger test because you pretty much know what Dallas was going to try to do. Dallas was kind of one-dimensional. They didn't have a run game. And the defense, especially that defensive front was more pass rush defense. The run defense, they really don't have that there, But, and it was exposed. Saints did a good job of exposing it. And this is a deeper test because they being the Eagles, don't have how can I put this? They don't have all-star, superstar, all-pro type players like that. They have some really good all-pro players, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Micah Parsons type players. You know what I'm saying? That stand out or guys like that. But they have individuals, and I could be wording this all wrong, but my mind is just jumbling up right now. But I'm trying to give them respect at the same time because they are a good defense. But they just have people in there that does their job well. It's no standout. There's no one player that you would game plan around. See, they game planned around Michael Parsons. They were double teaming and chipping him to take him out the game. And that pretty much threw off the whole defense against Dallas. Here with Philly, there's not that one player because everybody does their job and does it well. And so it's different. You can't just single out or zero in on one defensive player to kind of neutralize because they have different in every stage of the defense, whether it's that defensive line, the linebackers, or the secondary. So it's going to be a tougher test. So we'll see how this turns out. As far as my predictions for this Sunday's game, I predicted before the season started that the Saints will win this game, and I'm going to stand by that prediction. Just like last week when I predicted that the that the Cowboys would actually win, and I said that the Saints will lose, but it's going to be a close game. I'm thinking this Saints will win, but it will be a close game, even though the Saints have been putting up 40 burgers on teams like it ain't nothing. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long it's going to take before defense actually figures out how to slow this offense down. I'm hoping that this train keeps on chugging along, but that's hard to keep that up, people. It's really difficult to keep that up every single week, and especially when you're going up against premier defenses. Now, the good news is, as far as the New Orleans Saints are concerned, I don't see any other premier defense on their schedule. This is probably the last defense, top tier defense that the Saints will play this season. Maybe the Bucks, but that's it. I don't see anybody else. Everything else is not going to be as good as these two defenses that we played last week and this week coming up. And so that's the good news. But if we can get past this, go to 3-0, the sky's the limit. I'm going to be in here beating my chest like, man, nobody's going to stop this team. Depending on the style of victory, the way they perform in this game. But my keys to victory is, I'm going to say it simply, but it's easier said than done. Number one, defensively, contain. Keep Jalen Hurts in that phone booth. Do not let him break contain. Keep him, make him beat you through the air. If Jalen Hurts go out here Sunday and jack the ball up 60 times, get 450 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, I'll live with it. Y'all say, you know what? Jalen Hurts, he was on one today. We couldn't do anything against him, against his aerial attack. I would live with that. But if he come out here and runs the ball for 120 yards and all this other stuff, because we could not keep him in the pocket, I'm throwing my TV. I'm gonna get. Because going in, this is what he's gonna do. This is what he's gonna do because he's done it to us time and time again. And now, with that being said, we can't just focus on Jalen Hurts because Saquon Barkley is rejuvenated in Philly. He's a new man. He's playing like a man possessed. He's outside of Alvin Kamara, he's probably the best running back in the league right now. Between those two, we're going to see the two best running backs currently in the league in this game, both on either side of the team, either side of the field. And so it's going to be a nice showdown there. But Saquon Barkley has been running over fools. He's been running past fools. He's just been a dog in Philly. So we can't just focus on Hurts. We have to keep Saquon Barkley in check. Offensively, speaking of running the ball, the run attack of the Philadelphia Eagles, we have to dish out a running attack of our own. This does multiple things. One, it wears out the Philadelphia Eagles defense when you're able to run the ball. Look how effective it was against Carolina. Look how effective it was against Dallas. Wore that defense out. And so you want to wear that defense out again. This Philly defense. Also, it helps out your defense, because you're not 3 and out. You're not putting them back on the field to try to chase down Jalen Hurts just after you took 2 sips of Gatorade and you're back on the field. No, give your defense a break. Help them out. And so that does wonders to the defense. And it's basically you running the same type of uh, game plan that you've been running the last 2 weeks. You set up the run. You run the ball to set up the pass, I should say. And when it's there, when Shadeed takes the top off of defense, which he 9 times out of 10 will do, that's when you take your shot, And so don't force nothing. Don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. And I think the Saints will have success yet again this Sunday, bringing them to 3-0. But that's me talking it. Now the Saints have to take the field, which they will this Sunday, 12 noon on Fox in the Caesar Superdome, as our Saints, who are 2-0, take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 1-1. Oh boy, I can't wait for this. But I would love to know, what are your thoughts of this game? Are you excited that the New Orleans Saints have rejuvenated their fandom? It feels good walking around and hearing people say "who dat." It feels like I haven't heard people say "who dat" in 2 to 3 years. You used to go to the store and everybody, especially if you're wearing Saints gear of any kind, and somebody was like, "Hey, who dat? Yeah, who dat, baby?" And we keep it walking. That's about as far as the conversation needed to go. But the last couple of years, people had their head down, chin in their chest, rarely wear any Saints gear because they're embarrassed, and it's just not has been a good time to be a part of the Who Dat Nation. But the vibe is different now. It feels good. It feels good to talk trash and all this here. I mean, I have a couple of Dallas Cowboys fans that I'm either friends with or family members. I have yet to hear from them. I know they're alive. I've seen them on social media and all this here, but I haven't heard from them, which is weird, because I've been hearing from them for months, ever since they found out that we play each other this year. And now it's gone. Nobody want to talk to me. It's sad. It's really sad. But I would love to know what do you think? Are the Saints going to go 3-0 by defeating the Eagles, or do you think the Saints probably stumble this week? Which isn't the end of the world. But I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also comment on all of the show's social media page. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. Like this video. Share this video as well. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the Week 3 matchup between the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be talking to you after the game when we celebrate another Saints victory. Until then, I'm going to be screaming, "Who dat?"